Wayno 1949 says pine burns fine. Only the people who use girlfriend fires instead of using wood to heat with have a problem. They'll have a problem with any kind of wood. There's a lot of puns in there that I'm not going to get into, but that was a funny comment. It made me laugh. So I did a video a while back called "This Firewood Myth Needs to Stop." It was all about can you burn pine, and reading the misunderstandings in the comments and how people took the video, I was rest assured that myth will continue. So the main question that I asked in that video and answered was, can you burn pine? That's it. Black and white, straightforward, yes or no. A lot of people in the comments seemed to think that I was saying pine was better than hardwoods. It was a better firewood than hardwoods, which is not what I said. All I did was answer the question, can you burn pine? With that said, there are things about pine that are better for firewood purposes than hardwoods, and we're going to discuss those in today's video. So if you have the choice between hardwoods and softwoods, of course hardwoods is going to be the better choice. I never said softwoods are a better firewood. Hardwoods are better if you have that option. That seems to be a point a lot of people missed in the other video. Not everyone has access to hardwoods. If you do, that's great. So do I. I have firewood behind me that's of the hardwood species, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. A lot of people, depending on where you live, only have access to softwoods. I think a lot of people miss that point, and you need to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Not everyone has hardwoods available. It'd be like a billionaire saying, why would you drive a Ford when I have Ferraris or Lamborghinis or whatever? A lot of people can't afford Ferraris. They don't have that ability or that option. Just like a lot of people don't have the option of burning hardwoods. All they have is softwoods to choose from. So what are they going to do? Not burn at all? Burn oil or propane? At least they're still burning firewood. I think the fact that so many people burn these softwoods and have fine success should be enough of an indicator that you can indeed burn pine, you can indeed burn fir, you can burn hemlock, you can burn all these softwood varieties of trees. So to say you can't is kind of silly, but people still say it. The myth's going to continue. I have no doubt about that, reading the comments from the other video. So with certain aspects of firewood burning, pine is a better choice. In general, like I said, hardwoods are better if you have that option. But there are things about pine that are better than hardwoods. What are they? Well, the first thing has got to be pine catches fire much easier. If you want to make kindling out of your firewood and you want to have quick, easy starts in your wood stove, then I don't think you can beat pine. It's going to catch fire much easier than a hardwood's going to catch. Another nice thing about pine is that it seasons pretty quick, quicker than most hardwoods. Most pines, not all, but most, season in around 6 to 12 months. That's to get them below 20% moisture content once they're split open. A lot of hardwoods in comparison might take 2 years, some take 3 years, like oaks. There are hardwoods like ash that season about the same as pine, but generally speaking, for the majority of hardwoods, pine's going to season much quicker, which ultimately means you can burn it much quicker than a lot of the hardwood varieties. So another big advantage to pine is it's easy to process as far as it doesn't weigh as much as a lot of the hardwoods. You get into some hickories and oaks and locusts, those woods are real heavy. So if you have to pick up big rounds to your splitter, pine weighs a lot less. And if maybe you have a sore back or maybe some issues medically, you might be able to process the pine a lot easier than the much heavier hardwoods. So I think the last big advantage to pine is this. I think it's hard to deny our weather is not what it was 20, 30, 50, whatever years ago. We get a lot more warmer winter days, milder weather, and you really don't get that cold temperatures that we used to get. So if you have a lot of that kind of weather, which I call shoulder season, a lot of people use that term, shoulder season, meaning it's either the fall or the spring, kind of at either end of the winter, so you don't really get a cold enough temperatures to need real hard hitting woods. For those kind of days, pine's perfect. You get your stove going quickly with the pine, which is harder with the hardwood. You get a fire going for a couple hours, bring the temperature of your house up, and then you let it go out. It's perfect for that kind of weather. You don't feel like you're wasting wood. You save your real good hardwoods for the real cold weather in the middle of winter, and it allows you to get that hardwood to last a little longer while burning up pine. All right, so as promised, let's talk about some of the comments from that video, and I'm going to answer the questions right now. I'm not hiding from anything. I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not, and I'm certainly not scared to answer questions, so let's do it. Now you notice, if you read these comments for yourself, a lot of the comments, I would say the majority, are in favor of pine. And you're also going to notice, like I said in the other video, people that have actually tried it pretty much all say that it's fine. They've been doing it for decades, never had issues. Some of these people are burning cords and cords and cords of pine every winter, and they're fine. But you're also going to notice there's people that have negative opinions, and I'm going to bet you most of them haven't personally tried it. They're just going by hearsay they've heard from other people. So we got a comment from Benjamin Creswell 3713. At my family's deer hunting shack near West Branch, Michigan, the only thing we burned were pine stumps. They were left over from the logging days before my time, partly rotted out, but dead for sure. They were so full of pine pitch that you could easily start them with just a stick match. And he went on to agree with me that you can burn pine. And he brought up an interesting point, which I don't know if everyone watching realizes. A lot of these people that say you can't burn pine, I bet you guys are the same ones that spend $50 for a bag or a box of fatwood. Do you realize fatwood is made from pine stumps? The pine stump is where all the resin tends to collect, and it stays there. They don't rot out. And they harvest these stumps and turn them into fatwood and then sell them to suckers for $50 a box. So if you don't burn pine, I certainly hope you don't use fatwood fire starters to light your fires. But let's go on to some other comments. This is the best video on firewood that I've ever seen. I was always told the same thing about pine. If a lot of people would just season their wood, there would be no problem. That's from Eric Gebhardt. Exactly, Eric. If people would just try it and actually learn a little bit, instead of just repeating myths that they've been told their whole lives, they would see you can burn pine. Thank you very much for the positive comment. And you hit the nail on the head. Seasoning the wood is the key. I don't care what species of wood it is. You want it below 20%. I've said it a million times in other videos, and I'll say it again. No matter what kind of wood you burn, you want it to be below 20%. Everyone gets obsessed with pine versus oak versus this versus that, but they're burning unseasoned wood and then wondering why they have unsatisfactory results. I can promise you this. Take some fresh cut red oak that's only been split open for a month. Try burning it in your wood stove and tell me how great oak is. I bet you're gonna have a real clogged chimney real quick. So this one's interesting. B Bob 1279 said, we had a forester at our neighbor's house years ago, and I asked him about burning pine. He said that pine is perfectly fine to burn. A forester. I wonder if a forester in general knows more than a random YouTube commenter that's never personally tried something. Who knows? This was a newer one I just answered the other day. Drew Nice EST 4319. I'm sorry if I'm saying anyone's names wrong. Some of the ways they spell out people's names is kind of confusing to read because it's all like lumped together. But he said, wow, I really appreciate the video, but I wish I'd watched it sooner. I could have saved a ton of money. We had 2 massive pines and an oak taken down by a tree company just last month. I kept the oak, but had them take the pines away like an idiot, apparently. Now I know, thank you. You're not an idiot, Drew. What you did was fine. You got the better of the trees, like I said in the comment that I replied to you. You got the oaks, which are better firewood if you have the option. I mean, you could have saved the pines, but it's not the end of the world. But if you look around your area, I don't know where you live, but most places, everyone thinks pine is dangerous and you can't burn it. So you can get pine for free from pretty much anywhere. So if you want to replace those 2 trees that you didn't get on your property, you can easily get it in your area, I'm willing to bet. All right, so here's a comment from Glenn McMillan 6206. If it's dry and cheap and handy, you can burn it no problem, but it's messy and doesn't last very long in the stove. You can get more heat for the same amount of work burning hardwood. Yes, I agree, Glenn. However, like I said, not everyone has hardwood. So what do you recommend those people do that live in areas that don't have hardwood trees for hundreds of miles, if not more? Do you want them to ship in hardwoods and pay exorbitant amounts of money for better hardwoods? Or do you think maybe it makes more sense for them to burn what's locally available and just burn the softwood trees? Let me know in the comments, Glenn, what you recommend those people do that don't have hardwoods. I agree with you, hardwoods are better if you have the option. This comment was from Mike Muniak 4711. Fatwood is made from pine used to start the fire. LOL, the only problem I see with pine is it burns up fast. Fast heat. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what he said. It's made from pine stumps. That's a commonly known fact. I don't know if everyone that commented on that video knows that. They don't seem to. They seem to think that there's something special about fatwood. Maybe it's, I don't know. If it's so dangerous as viewers claim, why are they allowed to sell it commercially? You know, Amazon, for example, carries multiple brands of fatwood. So if it's so dangerous, why are they allowed to do that? Why aren't there all kinds of lawsuits in place? Because the fatwood is going to have way more resin in it per stick than any, you know, standard piece of pine you're going to get. So this was an interesting one from Rick 419. Not all pines are the same. Lodgepole pine heats better than ponderosa or white pine. Yeah, I agree. There's different types of pine, but again, I don't have any lodgepole pine in my area. That's a western United States typically tree. Same with ponderosa. We here in the eastern United States, we tend to have red pine and eastern white pine to choose from. So you got to go with what's available in your area. Robert Livingston 1634 said, of course you can burn pine. The question is, why would you if you have the option to burn a good hardwood? It's a great fire starter. After that, it's what's known as go for wood, throw it an arm load and go for another. Yeah, I agree. If you have the option, that's the key that everyone seems to be missing. If you have the option, burn the hardwoods. If not, burn what you have. But even if you have the option, like I do, I still burn pine for certain things. Like I said, shoulder seasons, it starts quickly, it makes good kindling. It allows me to keep my hardwoods longer into the season when it's really cold. So this was a good one. This was from when I first posted the video like about a year ago. This is some Tom John 6896. He's actually on the Firewood Hoarders Club with me. He's a knowledgeable guy. And I believe he's into Arian's garden tractors, which I'm into garden tractors. I have a lot of videos on garden tractors. And just all around seems like a good guy. But he said, yup, pine is fine as long as it's dry. I actually came here for the comments to see if anyone tried to refute this reality. So far, so good. Well, Tom, you ought to come back, because in the last, I'd say week and a half, I've gotten a ton of negative comments saying that you're an idiot, you can't burn pine, you don't know what you're talking about. So please come back, Tom, help a brother out and set these guys straight, because there's still a lot of people that are confused. RGPLP. I have been heating with wood since 1979. Pine burns faster than hardwoods, but it is readily available and easy to split. Don't burn it or anything else before seasoning and drying it for at least a year. I use it all winter and have had little to no creosote buildup in my chimney. 1979, so what's that, 45 years roughly that he's been burning pine and he doesn't have issues. So we have people that have been doing it for 45 years, but yet we have other people that haven't even tried it, but they're experts on why you shouldn't burn it. You see what I mean? Life experience, in my opinion, is always going to trump parroted information and myths that you hear from other people. There's a reason they have the term myths, because there's often a lot of non-truths in these statements. They get repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. Just because something gets repeated for a long time doesn't mean it's true. So this one actually made me chuckle a little bit. This is from Michael Macvicar, sorry if I'm saying it wrong, 2654. Pine is my favorite firewood, so we actually need to keep the myth going, because that myth is the reason pine is always free. So good video. Now stop biting the hand that feeds us. I agree. I probably shouldn't let the secret out of the bag. Despite all the comments saying I'm an idiot, there's a lot of people that are realizing you can burn pine way more than they ever were before. And I think eventually, maybe in the next 10, 15, 20 years, way more people are going to burn pine regularly than they do now. And it is going to be harder to get. And I agree, you're not going to be able to get it for free. So I'm sorry, Michael, for letting the cat out of the bag, but this channel is all about correct information and wisdom, and I hope to help people with my videos. Vintage Gear Man said, agreed on this. One thing that can greatly reduce your firewood curing time is when you fell the trees. When the sap is down in the tree, say in winter, that is the ideal time to cut up trees into firewood or have less sap, cure faster. That's a great point, Vintage Gear Man. I actually talked about this, not in that video that I'm referencing, but I did a video probably 2.5, 3 years ago. It was when I first started YouTube. It was called 5 Secrets of Burning Firewood. And I did discuss in that video that the time of year you cut the tree can make a huge difference with how much moisture is in the tree to begin with. So if you cut it at a time of year, like winter, where the moisture level is lower in the tree, you're starting off with a much lower percentage. So it's gonna ultimately speed up the amount of time it takes to season your firewood. Captain Mo 3064. Adirondack pine and white birch is excellent. I burn both. Typically I mix it with hardwoods and get fantastic results. And yes, it's -20 to most times, most winters. That's a great point, and I've talked about that mixing pine into your stove with hardwoods is another great idea. That's going to allow you quick catches, and it's going to allow the hardwood to last a little bit longer. You're going to get good results. The pine's going to help burn down your coal bed so they stay a little lower, and ultimately I think it works great is mixing your pine with your hardwoods. LN Productions 3159, great video. I laugh when I see people list it as campfire wood. They truly have no idea that you can help heat your house with it. I burned 6 cords of wood each winter up in Northeast Mass. I also mix in a half cord of pine in that 6 cords. So great comment. He brings up a great point. I hope the people saying you can't burn pine in your house in an enclosed wood stove, I hope those people aren't burning pine in open campfires and they're having their families, including their kids, sitting around these campfires cooking marshmallows, cooking s'mores, hot dogs, popcorn, whatever. You have your food inches away from that pine. It's dangerous, and then you're inhaling the food. So I hope you're not doing that if you say that you can't burn it indoors in your wood stove, because that would make no sense. So JD Jeep 46 said, I bought a Woodland Mills HM126 sawmill and have lots of pine slabs. I plan to mix in my hardwood this year, my wood stove. Good video. Thank you, JD Jeep. And I actually have a Woodland Mills HM130 sawmill, so if you're interested in that content, I have a lot of videos on my sawmill, milling different lumber, building buildings out of that lumber. And if you want to check that kind of stuff out, please check out some of the other videos on the channel. So Adam B12 said, no shame in burning pine. Where I live, eastern white pine is the most abundant conifer. It seasons quite quickly and is a breeze to split by hand. It's good for fires in autumn and spring to take the chill out. I clean my chimney once a year and have never had issues. 100% agree, Adam. Like, I agree with you. It's a great choice, splits easily, seasons quick. It's great for shoulder seasons. All the points you brought up, I agree with 100%. And it's great to hear from people that have actually tried it, because you're gonna notice most people that say you can't do something, whether it be, you know, a new career you wanna start, or you wanna be an entrepreneur maybe, and they're saying you're crazy, that's never gonna work. They've never tried what you wanna do. And most people that say you can't burn pine have never actually tried it themselves. So Todd Adams 1234 said, not all pine burns the same or has the same BTU. I'm in Arkansas. We tend to have lodgepole pine as I've only ever used it as a fire starter. Keep in mind, I don't know the following to be true, but I've often heard that you can burn about any wood as long as you keep that fire hot. And my question, is that true? I've answered these kind of questions in other videos, Todd. The main thing to keep in mind, the most important thing about burning any kind of wood is it wants to be seasoned. That means below 20% moisture content. I don't care what variety it is. Follow that rule and you're going to have a lot more success. But if you want to learn more about specific things about firewood, I have a whole series talking about firewood, and I think you'll learn a lot and I think you'll enjoy them. So Big 8464 said, pine is a great firewood. I live in northern Canada. That's all we have here. Our winters reach -40, -50 for weeks, and none of us froze yet. Never had a chimney fire. Most of the people that say you can't burn pine live in an apartment somewhere warm. I couldn't agree more, and that's a good comment. It made me chuckle. Most people that say you can't do it have never tried it. People that live in northern Canada, like this gentleman, I'm assuming it's a man, maybe it's a woman, but people that live in northern Canada are burning pine exclusively and having no issues, but yet someone that lives in an apartment has never burned wood probably at all, never mind pine, doesn't burn firewood at all. Some 25-year-old kid that lives in an apartment in Miami is gonna comment that you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about, but yet we have real world experience, people that have been doing it for decades that live in northern Canada. So you tell me who's the idiot. Captain Buttknocker, that's quite the name, quite the username. I was all proud of my 8-foot wide, 7-foot tall log building. It even has a metal roof. Then I watched this video, you have a log house, which he's referring to the woodshed behind me. I agree, it's a great woodshed. It's been great for me, it works great. And I actually have a video on the best style woodshed, which I think is a long, skinny structure like this. And I go over why in that video. So if you want to learn more about it, Captain Buttknocker, please check it out. Wayno 1949 says, pine burns fine. Only the people who use girlfriend fires instead of using wood to heat with have a problem. They'll have a problem with any kind of wood. There's a lot of puns in there that I'm not going to get into, but that was a funny comment. It made me laugh. I think this person's right though. A lot of the people that are saying you can't burn pine are kind of snobs, and they're not even heating their house with wood. They might have a fire here and there. These are the same people that say, I only go through half of a face cord a winter, or I have a Dixie cup of soot every 4 years. If you're heating your house all winter with wood and you're not using oil or electric or propane or natural gas or any of that other stuff, using exclusively wood, there's no way in hell you're using half of a face cord or some ridiculous amount of wood, and there's no way you're only getting a little bit of soot every 3 or 4 years. The reason you're getting so little and you're using so little is because you're not actually burning a lot of wood. You're burning a very small amount to impress your girlfriend or whatever, like this person said, and it's more of a, show thing. Some people are for go and some people are for show. So I noticed a lot of people mentioned the woodshed behind me. They said, this guy is full of shit. He's lying. He has hardwood in his woodshed. I never said the woodshed was full of pine. I never said I don't burn hardwoods. I said it many times. I have multiple videos of me processing wood. I cut all my own wood from standing trees, which 99% of people can't say. I'm gonna say the vast majority of firewood burners cannot say that they process 100% of their own wood from standing trees. So take it for what it's worth. I'm as real as they get. I'm not lying to you. Yes, most of this wood is oak, because that's probably the biggest hardwood I burned. I've had other years where my woodshed had cords and cords of pine in it. It all depends on the year, what type of trees I'm taking down on the property. And now that I have the sawmill, I'm not using as much of the pine for firewood. I'm trying to make more of the nice logs into lumber. So amongst the negative comments, there seemed to be really two main themes I kept seeing over and over and over. First one being, why would you burn softwoods or pine and harvest it when you have hardwoods? You're gonna get a lot more BTUs with the hardwood that's gonna last longer in your stove. Ultimately, you're doing the same amount of work, but you're getting a lot more out of the hardwood, a lot more bang for your buck, you could say. I agree. But the point that those people kept missing, like I said, is not everyone has access to hardwoods. I think most people would agree hardwoods are the better choice. I certainly agree with that statement. But if you don't have access to it, you burn what you have. And like I said earlier, there are benefits to burning pine aside from just the BTUs and that kind of stuff. The other main theme I kept seeing was people said that I mix up the term sap and pitch and resin, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot. How can you trust this guy? Maybe I shouldn't have used the term sap. Maybe I should have used the term pitch or resin, but I'm gonna let you know, you guys are also not correct. Pitch and resin are not the same. Resin is actually a more solid form of pitch. And pine tar, which I also saw a lot of people using the comments interchangeably with those other two words, is completely different. Pine tar is actually made from heating pine wood up to a very high temperature without letting it catch fire. And then they use the drippings from the liquid smoke to make a number of different products, including medicine and soap. So if it's so dangerous, why are they making medicine and soap out of the pine tar? You tell me in the comments below. And then I also saw that they make turpentine out of pine pitch, which is true, but that doesn't mean it's automatically and inherently dangerous. They make a lot of things out of other things. That doesn't mean the first thing is automatically dangerous. That'd be like us saying we can't allow kids to play in sand anymore. We can't go to beaches because they make glass out of sand, and that can be really dangerous. We're not throwing liquid turpentine into the stove. So throwing pine logs that might have a small amount of pitch on them. So let's all get real. Let's all use common sense and logic. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This one was a good spirited video, good spirited discussion. I certainly got a good chuckle out of some of the comments. I hope you did too. And I'll see you next time.